Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy Kies here, back at you with another video, and welcome to the third and penultimate part of my dreams and shopping list, Christmas shopping list for AC Milan. And I suppose I'm doing this video because it's a Monday, and like due to my literations, Milan Mondays, as a fan of Italian football generally, and also as it's the month of Christmas as well. So anyway, having said that, I hope, with that being said, whatever the best way of putting it is, I hope you enjoy this video, and as ever, I'd love to read comments, especially from fans of AC Milan or even Italian football fans or football fans generally, or whoever wants to comment as ever. So anyway, I'm going to try not to waffle too much, and again, I hope you enjoy it. It's almost midnight here anyway, so I'm quite behind schedule. I don't know why I said anyway, but anyway, here goes. So these are ideas or thoughts or plans, number 21 to 30. And I'll try and think of new things I normally try and do, but I am a repetitive creature, so creature of habit and whatnot, and very repetitive, unfortunately. But anyway, here goes. So number 21, as the saying goes, 21 again. AC Milan. When I think of AC Milan, I think of like history, legacy, victories, Champions Leagues, World Club Cups, glamour, basically, and that kind of thing. And I'd love to bring back the glory days for AC Milan. So I hope they will be able to do just that and have like a campaign to bring back the glory days, to look at how to bring in investment, sponsorship, and all that kind of thing, whilst not falling foul of FFP, which I haven't talked about, the dreaded FFP, when I think about investments and how I'd love for Italian teams and Celtic to get as much investment as possible. I'd love to bring back those glory days. So far, I think Jerry Cardinale, the new owner, Jerry Cardinale, however you pronounce his name, who talked about being proud of his Italian roots, as I mentioned before, and also about how he hates losing. I think the jury's probably still out. It's probably too early to judge, but a lot of people will probably say he's not done that great. I think a lot of people are already saying, were already saying, and probably still are already saying, or even more so, Cardinale out, because especially having failed in Europe so far. Although I think probably does need a bit of time, but getting rid of Maldini, the club legend, was probably not the wisest move, and I wonder if he should bring him back. So I'd love to ask those opinion polls on like what people think of Jerry Cardinale, again, however you pronounce his name, whether the club should bring Paolo Maldini back, how it could connect with the legends of the club like Ronaldo, possibly even, but certainly Kaká and people like that, how they could become ambassadors and coaches for the club. In some cases, I think they are. I think Dida, I'm thinking of, the goalkeeper, a former goalkeeper, is involved in like the goalkeeping coaching. I don't know if he still is, but it'd be great if Ronaldinho was involved. I think, as I said before, again, I think he was in prison for something. So maybe it would be great if the club could give him a new lease of life, and he could become an ambassador and a coach, and it could help to return the favour for all the good things he did for AC Milan. I suppose he probably wasn't at the club long enough to make that much of an impact, but that would be pretty cool. I also think it would be cool if, talking about Cardinale, talking about his Italian roots, I think it would be cool if they could connect with people from the diaspora, Italian teams generally, to bring in investment from people of Milanese descent or from Milanese families. Another idea I have, which is a bit morbid, is what if they could have investment, what if people could leave a will in their legacy for the club and things like that. And I'm trying to think if there's something else I was going to say, but so yeah, bringing back the glory days, looking at how to utilise former players to a mutual benefit, so hopefully they'll have something to do, and also it will give them a purpose, and also help the club, which would be most important for me, I suppose. But and for Milan fans, as a fan of Italian football in my case, just generally. But yeah, as coaches, as ambassadors and whatnot, especially for the youth and the future and that kind of thing. I'm sure that's something else I was going to say. Ironically, I've forgotten in 21, point to 21. I often say ironically because it's 21 again and that kind of thing. But anyway, moving on. Number 22, look into the future. What can the club do to improve? I'd love for people to share ideas and look at what they can do to improve. And I hope, again, they can look into all ways they can improve, like bringing in more investment, look at ideas they could have if Ancelotti came back to manage the club as a former player and manager. Um, he could bring in his experiences from Real Madrid and like the successes he's had, and hopefully roll back some of those glory days for the club. And again, with increased investment, looking at how to get even better players, and as I often say, like develop the academies, which would be good for club and country. Number 23, I'd love to see all the possible legal ways, and I dream that the club will look into all possible legal ways, most importantly legally, as I often say, or as often as I can, um, to attract investment and sponsorship and basically money for better players, even better players, the youth setup, as I'm saying, and things like that, and also the charitable work the club can do, and what it can do for good causes, which will hopefully be a mutual benefit because hopefully it'll make the club look better as well as helping others. So hopefully it'll come back to benefit the club anyway. So it'll be a good investment to do a lot of good work for charity. Like if they invest 10% of whatever revenue or profits at least, it'll be pretty cool. And I'd love for the Italian government to give tax exemptions, which I often talk about, and that kind of thing. Number 24. It'd be cool on that note if they could work with politicians and councillors. Again, I know I mentioned that point before, but if they could look at like any tax, like paying the lowest amount of taxes possible legally, which I'd love for Italian teams to do, and in return, hopefully they'll benefit Italian football. So hopefully it'll be something that Italian politicians and councillors will look into, and those basically policy decision makers. And I think Italian clubs should talk to them about the benefits of doing so. But one problem Italian teams have is like they generally speaking don't own. I think only Juventus owns their own stadium, which means that unlike other clubs, like English clubs, say for instance, they can't get the revenue. But it'd be good, I think, if councils donate at least 10% of whatever revenue they have into development of football. So, for instance, the Milanese council, Comunale or whatever they're called, municipality, Comunale or something like that, invested in like academies and development and looked at how they could benefit clubs, at least like, by helping them to get young Milanese people into football. And even though they're rivals, maybe having friendly competitions with Inter Milan to help both clubs to develop the younger players to practice. And another thing is, I think it'd be cool if they had at least 3 under-21 players, especially Italian players in particular, because that would help them to practice for the future and look again how it can benefit club and country, and look at how Italian businesses could hopefully invest in a club. And another idea I have is like the ultras and all that, which are like often hooligans or whatever. I think I'm not sure if ultras actually just means hooligans or it means fans who are just passionate, and many of them are hooligans. A bit like Celtic with the Green Brigade and things like that. Maybe, but it'd be cool if I think the ultras sometimes the ultras as they call them sometimes approach or have been known to approach the players at half time or after a game. And I think it'd be cool if they looked at how they can learn about football and coaching the youth, improving their diets, leading by example, and became ambassadors for the club and also donated to the club. So instead of using hooliganism, they could help the club financially and also in terms of coaching, developing the youth, training the youth and things like that. So, I mean, many of them, for instance, might not be that great at football, but they might just have a passion for football. Some of them might be old and overweight or whatever, but maybe they could, as many of them as possible, could get their coaching badges or just generally learn about football and pass on that knowledge and those skills to younger people. Number 25, I would love to know from people I'd love to know from AC Milan fans themselves, like what are your dreams? Hopefully AC Milan fans will watch these videos, and I'd love to know what your dreams are for the club. Like what investments would you like to see? What are your main priorities? What trophies would you like to see? How long would you give Cardinale or the club to win trophies? How do you think the club could connect with fans like yourselves, and how do you think the club can connect together? What do you think could benefit the club? And do you think European trophies are more important or domestic trophies? I'd love to know that. Me personally, I'd love to see more European and international trophies. But I'd love to know from fellow Milan fans. I'll say from my point of view, as a fan of Italian football, generally, I'd just love to see Italian teams at club and country level winning European and international trophies. But I'd love to know different perspectives. So I'd love to read and listen to, hopefully, Milan fans in this case, and also yeah, if any Milan fans, or as I often say, if you want to make reaction videos or your own version of this video or whatever, inspired by this video and maybe more coherent than me, as I also often say, and probably less repetitive and more clear, maybe in a different sort of style or whatever, however you would want to do so, then I welcome such, as long as it benefits you and as a Milan fan, and basically the club most importantly, which I think should come first. Number 26, how can another question I'd love to ask is, how can the club and other Italian clubs give back to countries that were colonized by Italy, by the Roman Empire, or Italy generally, I suppose, which was run by the Roman Empire. So countries like Eritrea, however you pronounce it, Tunisia, Ethiopia, and places like that. And maybe there could still be a cheeky sort of benefit anyway, because they could build academies and stadiums in those countries, and maybe those countries will forgive Italy for invading them and become fans of, say, in this case, Milan, and things like that. I'd love to know different people's opinions as ever on that one as well. I'd say number 27, in the future, I dream that the club will have many heroes. Number 28, I would love to, as I hope to travel to places like Milan. I know I've been to Milan, I've been to the San Siro to watch Inter, funny enough, Inter versus Verona, as a fan of Italian football generally, I'd say, but Inter won that game too, as it happens, but for what it's worth. But I would love to actually go and be part of that coaching and talk about my own philosophies, footballing philosophies, and things like that. I was conscious of repeating my idea about the walk and stroke or Hall of Fame, which I hope for Italian teams to have, to honour and acknowledge those who are heroes of Italian football, in this case, as like Milan, AC Milan. Number 29, talking about travelling to Italy, I hope I will show how I, as a neurodiverse person, and other neurodiverse or neurodivergent people can contribute to Italian football, as well as Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians, as I often say. And number 30, again, as ever, I'd love to know what you think. And I'm very biased in favour of Italian football for very selfish and biased reasons, because I've supported them ever since I was young. But I'm sure there's some points I forgot to mention, but even though I do waffle, you might think, how long would this video have even gone on if I kept waffling on? But with that being said, I'm out. Peace and love.